This segment is brought to you by Mossy Oak Camouflage. It's not a passion, it's an obsession. Hey everybody, I'm Matt Drury, and on this edition of DODTV's Heartbreakers, you're going to hear the story of a deer that I had several encounters with. He was the spitting image, almost, of one of my target animals a couple years back, and then you're going to hear the story of how he slipped through my fingers, and Adam Wainwright's too. For this story, you got to kind of rewind the clock back, and it actually started in 2015 with a deer that we called Hook. I mean, that's a whole other heartbreaker story in and of itself. A deer that we chased 2015, 2016, and then boom, he just vanished in 2017. So during the fall of 2015, we had a couple of great encounters with Hook. He was a 4-year-old that year and had a lot of potential. We called him Hook because he had this unique character kind of off of his G1. And as we were going into the summer of 2016, we were really excited because I felt like he made it through the tough winter. We didn't find his shed, but I just kind of had a feeling he was going to come back. And so as we're checking cameras there in August of 2016, I see this buck that had what I felt like were exactly the same characteristics, time length, kind of the blade, the frame, but he was missing the hook, the reason why I called him Hook. And I felt like, man, this deer actually kind of went on the decline this year. That kind of sucked. So I kept tagging this deer, every picture of him, as Hook. I thought he was Hook. Fast forward a couple weeks, and we're still in summer. We're still kind of getting that reconnaissance pictures. And out of nowhere, the real Hook showed up. And he's a giant. He's framed like a stud. He's still got the hook. And thus the name PH came out of nowhere, Pretend Hook. I'm not that creative, so to me, this was the counterfeit. He was Hook without the unique characteristic, so he became PH. The 2016 season comes and goes. I actually did have an encounter with Hook. I never did see PH on the hoof. I got tons of pictures of him, but he was mostly nocturnal. I mean, almost all the pictures I got of him were at nighttime. So I never saw him on the hoof that season, but was really, really excited to see what he and Hook would blow into in another year, 2017. 2017 rolls around, summertime, we get the reconnaissance cameras out there, the analogics out there, and we start really putting together a plan to try to get, both PH and Hook's pictures. Well, Hook never did show up, and PH, he was regular, and he was hammering that analogics. As we roll back and kind of put our story together with this deer, turns out that we had an encounter with him where I passed him as a 3-year-old up in our staging plot field. Aaron Bennett found a shed of his as a 4-year-old. So we really started piecing together this real cool storyline and some history with him. The early season comes and goes. We never have a face-to-face encounter with PH. As we progress through the season, early November comes, that time that we're all excited for, and that's when my partner on the lease, Adam Wainwright, he came in, and we're both hunting at the same time. So we kind of split up. He goes to the North Timber where we have a lot of sightings, a lot of encounters with our big shooters every year. So we put him in a really good spot. And then based on the wind direction we had, I went to a part of the farm on the south end that we never sit, very rarely anyways. And I didn't realize it, but I was going in for the sit of all sits for my entire season that morning.
We just got into the set, buck parade phase 6, and we're crashing into one of our best spots. Already, we were just setting up, and we unfortunately don't have it on camera, but we had a nice buck, I called nubbin 9, 25 steps, had a doe, so we're in the right spot. Just a matter of whether or not we get one of our big boys cruising through here. It's a deer that we call kickers. I think he's a 4.5-year-old. Pretty cool to see him right here and get to see why we call him kickers coming off of his right beam. Pretty cool encounter.
Like a couple of dummies, we decided to get out of the stand. Adam, it was his first day there. We hadn't seen him for a long time. We still hadn't seen him as of that day. So we decided, you know what, let's all get together. Let's go into town and grab a bite to eat for lunch. Aaron Bennett had killed a nice whitetail that morning, so we wanted to meet up with him and just kind of have that whole camaraderie of camp. Well, looking back, we should have never gotten out of the stand. So we get back into the stand, and right out of the gate, we bump a couple deer going in, and our access into the stand was deluxe. That's frankly the reason why I didn't feel bad about getting out and coming back in. So we go in, and I mean, we weren't settled in before I see a doe pop out.
PH. There it is. Careful, there's a deer right behind us. There's a deer right here. I got a quick glimpse of PH on a doe. I tried grunting, but then this deer came up from behind us, so I couldn't get too aggressive.
So we have this brief encounter with PH. The deer have been chasing forever. We see him face to face. Realistically, he's only 40 yards away, but he's in some thick brush. And we called, we rattled, and it just wasn't happening. But I felt like he was still in the area. We never really got the sense that he left. As we sat there the rest of the evening, I mean, it was a really slow sit for us. But Trevor and I discussed it, and I was like, you know what? Let's leave all of our gear here. I really feel like if we don't bump him, that we could come right back here in the morning and have another shot. We got the same wind, let's do it. I climbed down, and I'm waiting for Trevor to, the way the tree was, he kind of had to climb around the tree and then get down. Well, as he's doing that, I'm standing at the base of this tree, and I hear a footstep. And of course, we don't have any footage of this because that's, Trevor was trying to climb out of the tree at that point. Well, I look up and I come face to face with PH. He's at 10 steps. He doesn't realize I'm there. He's in one of our shooting lanes. And finally, he looks up, he kind of sees Trevor, he looks down, he sees me. It's pitch black, but he knows something's not right, and he bounds out of there. He never blows, but he jumps out of there. And I thought, well, I'm pretty dejected at this point, but because he didn't wind us or he really didn't know what we were, you kind of keep your fingers crossed and you think, maybe there's a slight chance that he'll be back in here tomorrow morning. So November 8th rolls around, and Adam's going into the same spot he was in the day before in that North Timber, and really a good spot, and where bucks go cruising back and forth on this shelf looking for a doe, especially during this time of year. And then I went back into that spot in the South Timber, hoping that PH showed back up. So we sit there, it's a really slow morning, and I send Adam a text and just say, hey, how's it going over there? And right out of the gate, he sends me a text back and he says, I just had an encounter with PH.
Grunt to him.
2 days in a row, 2 encounters, and we couldn't get the job done. Heartbreaker at its best. Fast forward a few days, you know, I couldn't hunt every single day. It's just not possible. Adam had to depart, and we never did get our hands on PH, but I wasn't giving up just yet. And so we went back in there a couple times, and I was hunting on that final Sunday during the Missouri firearm season, November the 19th, and I'm hunting with my cousin Justin, and we're sitting in that box blind, and out of nowhere, we hear a shot to our north. And kind of in jest, I say to Justin, that's probably PH just got shot, just kind of the way our luck was going that day. And we never really thought much of it after that, and we kept going on about our business. Well, a couple weeks later, a week or two later, Trevor Walker, who's one of our producers here, my camera guy for the most part during the season, he gets a text from a friend, and through a friend of a friend, he ends up talking to a guy that owns 15 acres of timber just to the north of where we're hunting, and he sent some pictures over, and he asked if we knew this deer. So he gets these photos, he sends them on to me and says, hey, I hate to say it, but I think this is PH. And I replied back 100%, that's totally him. Kudos to the neighbor. It's a great deer, a true specimen. I couldn't be happier for him, but that kind of ended what was a tough season at the least for me. And it was kind of the final nail in the coffin, and it split that heart right down the middle.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DODTV was brought to you by Leupold.